Ambassador Burns, thank you very much for the nice words. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege to address such a distinguished audience. I want to thank both faculty and the students of Harvard for the hospitality extended to me and my wife, as well as the Latvian delegation. You know, presidents usually have foreign policy programs. They must have these documents just on the desk every day. And these documents are updated more often than most of the public really expect. Because the situation in the world, the situation around that country changes with amazing pace. So today, this English audience has the privilege to listen to the latest update of Latvian foreign policy. Today I was asked to talk on the subject of Latvia and Europe after crisis from perspective of the EU and NATO member. Time span of 6 years since our joining the European Union is enough to take stock of what has Latvia gained by its membership. At the outset, it needs to be stressed that the European Union is not only a foreign policy issue today. To a large extent, for us, it has become domestic policy. If you will check the meeting schedules in Brussels today, we will see that meetings on agriculture, environment, or competition will dominate the agenda. Therefore, our benefits from being a part of the Union are mostly of domestic nature. So what are our benefits of being part of the European Union? First of all, our aspirations for participation in Europe promoted, strengthened, and facilitated the development of democratic institutions. Second, membership in the European Union substantially improved the investment climate in Latvia. Third, we can enjoy the advantages which are ensured by the free movement of people. We are now accustomed to free travel in Schengen zone. It has become something that is self-evident. It's so natural to study, work, and gain experience in other European Union member states. Fourth, the free movement of goods and services can open up new opportunities for business. Each business person and consumer can operate in the free environment of the EU with no borders or custom formalities. Our country has a small internal market, and for us, this is a particularly important thing. Europe's strength, and sometimes also weakness, is its diversity. Every country contributes to the mix of common knowledge and expertise. So the question is, what can Latvia deliver to the common marketplace of ideas? Our natural expertise is our eastern neighbors. I should like to mention that the EU-Eastern Partnership is an important item on my agenda. Our country has the most direct links to this region, and the success of the initiative is a matter of our national interests. Stable, democratizing, and rule of law-based societies to our east are crucial for predictable economic cooperation in this region. It is very important to reduce the existing hard and soft security challenges and enable fruitful cross-border cooperation in all aspects. Therefore, we are working both bilaterally and within the European Union to bring these countries closer to Europe. Another aspect where Latvia's experience is being highly valued is our response to the economic crisis. Tough fiscal consolidation, adjustment of tax rates and spending with an aim to bring down budget deficit from double digits to 3% of GDP by the year 2012 is not an easy task to do. I have to say, the fiscal consolidation that has been performed by Latvia during the last 2 years is showing its fruit. Our economy has started to provide positive macroeconomic indicators. We have proved that that is possible, but only with understanding on the part of population. I'm quite sure that similar approach of fiscal adjustment will have to be taken by some other European countries rather soon. Latvia's exit strategy from recession is joining the Eurozone in the year 2014, and Latvia is looking forward to join a stable and sustainable common currency. Therefore, we have vested interest in stability of Eurozone. I believe that our approach to the economic crisis was the right one. Austerity first, stimulus second, is the only way how small and open market economy can overcome recession. In order to create a more competitive economy, structural changes are needed. Unfortunately, for obvious political reasons, they are only possible when there is a shortage of funds. When structural reforms are performed, added stimulus and liquidity will have much deeper and long-lasting effect on the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we have general elections in Latvia this week, in 3-4 days. When choosing a prime minister after elections, one of qualifications to me will be willingness and ability to keep on track the economic recovery program in cooperation with IMF and European Union. And I am reasonably certain that the elections will not make any sweeping changes to the approach to economic recovery that have been taken up to now. In overcoming the economic crisis in Latvia, crucial assistance was European solidarity. Quick and decisive support to ensure stability of our financial system was the key to overcoming the turbulence and uncertainty that characterized our crisis early on. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a strong believer in regionalism. To have strong Europe, to have strong Latvia, we need to look at enhancing cooperation with our neighbors. Our priority in this context is cooperation with the Baltic states, Poland, Germany, and the Nordic countries. Only together with our neighbors, we can hope to be successful in addressing energy and transportation sectors development. Only through economic integration with our neighbors, we can hope to overcome the intrinsic limitations of our individual market size. Ladies and gentlemen, the European Union is far from perfect. One area that I would not hesitate to call a European deficiency is the lack of common energy policy. We have a dedicated European Energy Commissioner with strong bureaucratic support within the European Commission. We have a multitude of European energy projects. Everybody seems to understand that there is a significant necessity to design a common system of energy security in Europe. Still, we are far from being on the way to have a common and coherent energy policy. The only reason for this deficiency is the fact that the member states sometimes are not able to think past the perceived immediate national interests, often defined by the national energy companies. If we want to have an energy system where we are not dependent on any one source or supplier of energy, we have to work together. Another area where a lot of improvement is needed in our region is transport infrastructure. It is in the interest of all the countries in the region, as well as Europe as a whole, that roads and railroads from Europe to Baltics and from Baltics to Eastern markets are available. Good connections in north-south and east-west directions are crucial for true integration of European economy. That again requires common action and common commitments. We have already some quite successful transport projects in the region. However, once again, a more sustained and coordinated European effort is needed in this area. I believe that strong currency, common energy policy, as well as transportation infrastructure are key factors to greater integration of European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, the foundations of the European Union are sound. Liberty, rule of law, democracy, and market economy in Europe is a cornerstone to a more stable and secure world. Latvia has benefited enormously from the vision of Europe whole and free. Therefore, I am a strong believer in further enlargement of the European Union. Currently, we are in a period of internal consolidation after 2 rounds of enlargements. We are facing some enlargement fatigue, but integration of those Balkan countries and those Eastern European countries that are willing and able to share our values and accede to the Union is crucial to long-term stability in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, the other cornerstone of European security and prosperity is strategic partnership with the United States. Throughout the 1990s, after the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union, the United States have been instrumental in bringing the idea of Europe whole and free to its conclusion. Membership of NATO is a proof of that. There are many experts arguing that the United States has lost its focus on the eastern part of Europe, or even in Europe as a whole. That is simply not true. Our relations with the United States are solid, deep, and growing. Bilateral relations have developed in a commendable way over the last few years, particularly in the area of defense and cooperation in NATO. Especially, I must point out bilateral military exercise and training, as well as the positive things that have happened within NATO over the past year. We are pleased that Article 5 of the NATO Treaty is being developed in terms of content for Latvia and other countries in this region. NATO will be approving its new strategic concept in November. I'm sure that it will fully include Latvia's essential interests. It will also reaffirm the principle of collective defense that's enshrined in the Washington Treaty. Latvia sees its security firmly based in the NATO collective defense system. Being part of the alliance is a certain and cost-effective way to ensure the security of the state. That was the reason behind the decision to join NATO, and it is still valid now. However, we understand that for the collective defense system to work, commitment of all the participants and the allies is mandatory. Security of one state is security of all. Therefore, our defense planning is based on collective action by the alliance. Our armed forces are tailored for being an integral part of NATO. They are trained for interoperability and to be a part of allied operations, either in our home territory or out of area if it is necessary. Latvia does not invest in fighter jets since NATO countries have plenty of them, and our airspace is covered by rotation-based NATO air policy. By the way, currently our skies are policed by the American jets. Instead, we invest in operations, namely in Afghanistan. Per capita, Latvia is among the top troop providers to ISAF. As a participant in the collective defense system, Latvia is directly interested in the success of this mission. We must have a broader NATO discussion about how to shape the best strategy. We need to define what could constitute the successful completion of the mission and actively seek to attain it. That's our duty towards our soldiers, towards our societies, and towards the Afghanis that have by far the most at stake in this process. There is no instance of a country having benefited from a prolonged warfare. These are not my words. Already Sun Tzu wrote about it, and we have to take it into account. Ladies and gentlemen, the reset policy in US-Russia relations announced by President Obama provides an opportunity to enhance security in Europe. Latvia welcomes this approach and is ready to contribute to this process. It creates trust and perceived security of the states in the region. Decreasing historic insecurities, in turn, enables a more open mindset towards relations with those countries that have been the source of these uncertainties and insecurities in the past. In Latvia's case, it has enabled us to be more pragmatic in our relations with the largest of our neighboring countries, Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be surprising if today I would not mention one topic that I always get in question and answer sessions. And today there will not be an exception. That's our relations with Russia. Latvia has always maintained that our goal is mutually respectful and mutually beneficial neighborly relations with Russia. It has not been a smooth road for the last 20 years, but we see relations with Russia as substantially important, taking into account both our political, economic interests. The last few years since our border treaty with Russia was finally signed, we are seeing improvements in our relationship. But it's important to ask the question, what do we see as attainable goals in our relations with Russia in the medium term? First of all, we need political dialogue with Russia at the highest level. The Intergovernmental Commission has done fine work, and there have been contacts at various other levels, but the level of political dialogue has been inadequate, taking into account again that Russia is our neighboring country. We must look for more regular contacts about high-ranking officials, and that is one thing which I would like to achieve in my presidency. Second, we must promote economic contacts between Latvia and Russia. Of course, business people in the two countries will play the leading role in this regard, but it is the duty of the state to ensure competitive environment and legal foundation for the more successful development of economic cooperation. There have been some public speculations about the purchase of economic benefits for a political price. That will never happen. Third, I see this as an opportunity to address sensitive issues that have traditionally been difficult to discuss on bilateral level. In my opinion, history is the most important aspect of this. Latvia will not forget its history because we can't just change it. But we are calling on Russia to set up a joint commission on different aspects of history of the two countries. This commission must have access to archives in both countries if we want to do this work properly. I'm sure that open dialogue can emerge about issues in which there are traditional differences of opinion between our two countries. Not quickly, but nonetheless gradually, going step by step, we can enhance mutual trust. Fourth, we see a necessity for a pragmatic dialogue in order to be a part and contribute to the European Union and NATO discussions regarding cooperation with Russia. We are not Russophobes, even if there are people in Russia and in the West that find it convenient to depict us in a particular way. I know that the normalization of relations with Russia is not an easy thing to do. There are sufficient layers and forces in both countries which would prefer the relationship to be a poor one. But I believe, however, that this is a direction in which we need to go. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would like to express my conviction that this moment presents a historical rarity for our foreign policy. There is a creeping change in the European political and economic system that clearly benefits us. Our main task after the economic crisis is to regain the political, economic competitiveness of Latvia. And we can do it only by working together with our partners, the European Union and the United States of America. Thank you for your attention.